know Wallace introduced me. I am originally from Philadelphia, so you'll note that strong Philadelphia accent. I moved to South Jersey when I married my husband. We've been married 34 years, and I've been an educator from the day that I stepped out of college and got my first job. I left the classroom a couple of years ago. It'll be 2 years this July as a quasi-administrator. I say that because I don't have any supervisory job description. However, I am the admissions and marketing coordinator, and I also serve in a different capacity of being a teacher that goes back into the classroom and just is a cheerleader for all the educators in the classroom. So I love that part. So I'm really, really happy with taking the leap and changing things for me because I was a passionate educator. I've also just recently joined up with 2 other guys in the marketing area, and we've formed a co-education solutions marketing group. And those 2 gentlemen bring with them a plethora of experience and marketing. So together we kind of have like a 3-legged approach of school branding, marketing, and then just me as an educator with that being able to speak education jargon. So I'm really excited about the next phase of that. So this is really important. If you don't tell your school story, somebody else will. And I am a big proponent of, as educators, as administrators, as school district, telling your own story. So we're going to talk a little bit about today of leveraging social media during school crisis or school closure. We don't know what the fall is going to bring. They're talking about this virus coming back, and so there's possible shutdowns for briefer periods of time, hopefully not as prolonged as this one, but we don't know that. So it's important to keep things going for social media and sharing your information with the community. So we know we're living in unprecedented times, and our schools here in New Jersey have been closed since the 14th or 13th of March. We shut ours down somewhere about maybe a couple days later, but very quickly in mid-March, we shut down, and we are now closed until mid-May. So that's 2 months of school shutdowns, but education is still going on, and teachers are doing an awesome job of being able to create some kind of meaningful learning experience for students during this school closure, but it is definitely unprecedented times. So who's your audience? These are my 4 go-to. I know that there are probably many other ones that we could incorporate here, but from a school district's perspective, you're trying to reach certain target audiences. And so I'll just quickly tell you that Facebook is the one that most of our community and our parents use. Instagram is for the kids primarily, or young 20-something-year-olds. Some parents are on it just to monitor their kids' stuff, and so they play around with it, but that's not their go-to method of social media. Twitter is the one that we're on, most of us as educators. So I find that a lot of educators looking for professional development and staff, they're on there. Kids are on Twitter, but they follow different types of things, genres on Twitter. So I would say that I'm reaching my target audience on Twitter is usually other educators. And then YouTube is one that we use for everybody because everybody loves video, and that's the power of video is important. So we try to keep a YouTube channel for our school district stocked with different things that kids can go back and see, memories, graduations, etc. So what do we use for content? Well, I categorized it into 3 different areas for this particular. I mean, I always use it for these 3 things, but even more so now. So school events and celebrations, resources, school information, and announcements. Those are the 3 primary categories that we use for sharing news out through social media. Okay. So during our school closure, school's still happening, and that's really important for people to know. School's still happening. It's just not happening in the brick and mortar school, which Tim touched on about, the need for brick and mortar schools, and people are seeing that more now than ever. But while we're out, we are still sharing a lot of information out there via social media and our web page. And I didn't mention our web page because we talked about leveraging social media, but your web page is also another great place for information to be shared. So school events and celebrations. Although we're not having as many celebrations, obviously a lot of things in the school are canceled. Many of those have shifted to online. So we are able to still capitalize on those events. Obviously, every day there's remote learning things happening. I'll drop a link in here, but I just created a Google site to kind of archive our remote learning activities. And what's been really great about that is people don't have to scroll through the Facebook feed. They can actually see it all on one site. But I also shared it out with the media and the press, and that's really important because you want to try to get your school into this, the newspaper, radio, etc., and have other people pick it up. And this is a great way because it develops as you add new content information. So that's something that I did. So I'm sharing the remote learning activities via social media and then on adding it to the Google site. A lot of people are trying to just get the kids just kind of enthusiastic. So they're doing some school challenges, whether it is, by class, they're doing virtual spirit days, to just try to bring that enthusiasm. School pride is something that you're never short of. So there's lots of opportunities for school pride here, whether it is, different sports teams in the school, or seniors who have gotten accepted to colleges, or accolades that students have received, awards, etc. Staff, what are they doing? So all of the opportunities for school pride you can share out through social media. If you're really short on content, you can go back to old photographs that you've had through the year, kind of like take a walk down memory lane and put them into photo collages to make them look a little bit different. And that's a great memory, but it also brings people to your social media pages. So there's a couple of different ones out there that are free that you can just pop, 5 or 6 pictures in it, and you can pop that on, and you'll be amazed at how many people come to your website to see things like that. And it brings them back to the memories of the school year. I'm loving what I see a lot of people do, which is staff or administration personalized messages to kids. They're collaborating and they're putting it together in one video and they're sending it out. We miss you, stay strong, that kind of thing. They're really awesome. If you're working in the younger grades, this is very, very popular. The read alouds where people are reading books. In fact, Michelle Obama's reading books every week to students, which I think is really very cool. I'm sure there are other celebrities that are doing so as well. But read alouds is a great way for, parents to get that little break, and especially with the younger ones, and let somebody else do that part. So there are read alouds. But even at the high school level, if you're working on a chapter book that you think is tough, to having a teacher read the chapter, or poetry, that's really, really powerful. As a special ed teacher, I used to read to kids just to get them settled in for a couple of minutes, and they would beg me not to stop. They were, please don't stop. I was reading the Hunger Games to them. So read alouds are at any level is really good. Virtual performances, I'm sure you guys have seen it, but I love when you get these kids from all different homes and they are performing together. We saw that just recently with, I don't know if you've seen it, but New Jersey for Jersey, we had all the virtual performances, and last week there was one on Saturday, I think, where all kinds of celebrities did that. Student presentations. This is another way that students can present something in video, and then you can highlight it on social media. So I've had kids that are working in our sports medicine class learn how to tape somebody's ankle, and they do it on video, and then we use that as social media, like, look what they've learned. This one we haven't done, but I think it's just awesome, is a dance off or a dance party. So, I don't know if you guys know who Ron Clark is, but he is amazing. He is out of Atlanta, Georgia, and he has the Brian Clark Academy. He did a thing where he at midnight did a scary story read aloud, and he invited his kids and their parents, and then he had a tent set up, and so there's all kinds of great things that you can do there for celebrations. So I'm big on also using our social media for resources, because a lot of people don't know what's out there. Parents, this is uncharted territory for them to be this active in their students' education, and they don't know how to do everything. And they're like, I don't know algebra 2 or geometry. So I share a lot of resources. Now, some of them are specific to the COVID resources, that are out there, that they can find information about how to access different assistance and things like that. So COVID resources are popular right now. But I'm also sharing a lot of the free learning subscriptions, like Zoom has the free one, or Screencastify right now. You can record your screen and it's unlimited, and that's usually a paid one. So you can archive things that way. I'm using it for like professional performances. You have, the theater doing, just Phantom of the Opera. And you can use that as a learning tool, or even just for enjoyment or just love of the arts. So I'm sharing that information. Google tools and apps, they're critical right now because parents don't understand Google tools. They don't understand Google Classroom. They don't understand what Screencastify is and all the extensions. So I'm sharing a lot of that information. How-to videos, that's a great one, because I jokingly say that everything we need to know we can learn on YouTube. Maybe not everything, but an awful lot. So being able to share some videos on how do you log on to Google Classroom, or just how do you use Skype or Zoom. Those are great. So I share some of those. Important links that they want, that they might need, as far as SATs or standardized tests or College Board, anything that we think is important to our school learning community, we share out that way. And then digital access to books and movies. There's a lot of free digital access right now to classic books and movies, etc. So those are all great things to share, and that'll keep people coming back to your webpage or to your social media page as well. So I also share a lot of information. Some of that's redundant in terms of resources. They might be links, but the school closure. So as we are approaching, this one I think is really important, as we are approaching another announcement of the school being closed possibly for the year, I think it's really important for us to be in front of that as much as we can, so that they are hearing it in a way that is gentle, that is loving. And so when there is a message from the governor that says schools are going to be closed for the next 4 years, we jump on that right away and draft something from the superintendent and get it out to our school community, because we wanted to have our narrative about how it impacts our students and our staff. So school closure information we share very often as soon as we have additional information. I share a lot about the community, so what's going on in the community around them, so that if they know that there are places where there's a food bank, or that there is, they're taking collections for this, or the need to wear masks in supermarkets, just things that they may miss if they're not watching the news that affects them in the community. The class information, especially when you're talking high school, senior class, this is a big deal. I mean, can you imagine missing all the rites of passage right now as a senior, your prom, and all of those things? So sharing class information, updates as to what's happening with those particular classes is really important, and parents and students are looking to us for that information. We have state requirements, and some of them have changed with this crisis, and so we want to make sure that people are up to date and they know what is going to count and what it's not going to count. So we want to make sure, we want to share that information about state testing, or days counted for instruction, hours, seat time, etc. So we share that information freely as well. We also want to make sure that we are sharing cancellations of events, because the assumption is that everything is canceled, but yet it may not be. It may have been shifted to a virtual performance or a virtual activity event. So we want to make sure that we are giving people the notice that they need in terms of cancellations so that they can be aware and that they can plan if there has been a change or cancellation. And then this one, we're not, I don't think anybody is really spending an awful lot of time about the upcoming school year, but this is the perfect time to fill in the gaps with social media about what's going to happen for the fall in terms of, do they have to fill out certain forms? Do they have to apply for something? Can they order gear, that kind of stuff. So anything related to the upcoming school year to keep the positive buzz, I think is really important as well. So I just want to say that this is an opportunity. As I said, this is the unexpected experiment that none of us wanted to have as school leaders, as people in education. However, we have to maximize what the situation is to our benefit. And so right now, when many people are thinking schools are shut down, there can't possibly be that much information to share in terms of social media. I can tell you that my days are really, really busy in terms of finding information and sharing it out, because people need to be kept in the loop and they need that additional information and resources. And if they find all of that information in one place on your social media or website, or that is the perfect way to keep people involved and seeing what your school is doing. And as Tim said, that people are really starting to appreciate that teachers do so much more than just the learning experience for their kids. They're caring for their kids. They're supporting their kids. So I think it's a great place to keep people coming back to. And if you have any questions, you can certainly email me, or we have some time today for a few questions. I'm happy to answer them.